Blog Talk Radio.
Everyone in America and around the world to All You Need to Know Radio. I am your host, John Hollywood, and thank you so much for joining us. Get ready. As always, our shows are going to blow your mind with live and unscripted information. Warning, there is no spin going on here. It's done. So, only the truth and the facts will be heard tonight. I bet that is comforting to you. The world is a crazy place for everyone right now. So for the next hour or more, let us be your getaway and take you on our journey that you will never forget. So sit back and relax and welcome our co-host, Will Cobb. And as always, our show is produced by Maureen Vanderpool. Sound exciting? Trust me, it will be. As All You Need to Know Radio starts right now, and without further ado, here is Will Cobb.
Hey everybody, it's July 2nd, 2020, and it's that time for us to go live on All You Need to Know Radio, back from our 1-week hiatus. Thanks, John, for that great intro. I'm your co-host, Will Cobb, and happy to be back tonight while social distancing in my favorite Star Trek-inspired loungewear. And now, without much further ado, let's head into our first segment, The Law of Politics, with your host, John, and our resident constitutional law expert, Amos Warrench of the law firm Warrench & Nunn. Gentlemen, the airwaves are all yours as usual. Take it away.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction, Will. I appreciate you.
Hello, Amos, and welcome to the world of All You Need to Know Radio. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, John. It's good to be with you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. What do you have any plans for the 4th of July?
Well, I'm trying to maintain appropriate social distancing, so I'm not doing like a big party or anything, but I will be with some very close family and my girlfriend, and so I think we're going to have a nice, relaxing, but pretty quiet time. Thank you.
So that explains where my invite got lost, because you don't have a big crowd, right?
There's no party this year, sir.
All right, well, let's dive right into some of the most disheartening information I've heard yet of Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Trump knew Russia paid bounty for our troops to the Taliban to kill our troops. And what did the sitting president?
The answer is nothing. He asked them to rejoin the G8. And again, similar to the debacle in Helsinki in 2017, he sided with Vladimir Putin in the interests of Russia over the specific advice and analysis of our incredible intelligence agencies. It's another brick in the wall of the evidence to show that he is beholden to Russia. And I don't know specifically why he is beholden to Russia, but the evidence just keeps piling up. it's pretty obvious that he is, in fact, beholden to Russia, and that's terrifying and scary.
Well, he doesn't even do anything to try to hide it. I mean, he blatantly has some kind of homosexual love for Vladimir Putin. I mean, he talks about how they're in love and how, or actually, that was Kim Jong-un. So as long as you're a dictator, Donald Trump considers you an equal to him. And they're actually more than an equal to him. They are playing the most powerful man. Well, now that's Merkel lady. But they're playing Donald Trump, and he just doesn't see it. It's hilarious.
I also think you hit on an important point talking about other dictators. We don't know precisely what went down, but something untoward is occurring with the relationship between the Trump administration and the government of Turkey. There's also, I believe, something untoward occurring with the government of Saudi Arabia and the Trump administration. And again, I don't know what it is because they obstructed justice and the Democrats and Mueller were unable to uncover tales of exactly what they've got on him. But they've got freaking something. There's no other way to explain his actions.
Exactly. And
there is one way.
It's because they do have. Do you think they have something physical? I'm sorry, my microphone is messed up. Do you think they have something personal, like financially, or do they have him peeing on a bed with hookers? On a bed Obama slept in?
That's a complicated question, and I think the answer is likely both, but I don't really know. There's a lot of evidence that he's committed various forms of tax fraud and financial fraud and potential money laundering. And I wouldn't be surprised if part of the thing that they're holding over him is to do with financial crimes and his debts, who he really owes debts to. And then I also think that there is, he's got a lengthy history of complaints of sexual allegations by women, young and old. I wouldn't be surprised if there was also some sort of personal sexual, the PP tape, or I've seen speculation with no evidence, but speculation that there's the PP tape is with underage women, and that's the real reason why it's such valuable blackmail information. But I don't know if that's true or not.
That's why he killed that guy in prison. What was his name?
Epstein. And Mr. Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, was arrested in New York yesterday.
Yes, yesterday.
New Hampshire yesterday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was one of the most disturbing stories we've ever reported on. That I hope there's a special place in hell for people who touch children. And this guy.
Me too, sir.
Was just, oh my gosh, guys! If you're just joining us,
what he was a pimp for the powerful, and it's interesting to see. One of the things that I've called for multiple times on this show, and I believe is a thing that the Democrats should do, is that if they're successful in the November election, and it appears they're likely to be so, that they actually really prosecute some of these prior crimes of the administration, which, we've used the example of Obama saying the country needs to heal and not going after George W. Bush and Cheney and those folks, which, I understand. I disagreed with, but I understand. With Donald Trump, if Joe Biden and, a future Senate Democratic majority do the same thing, I guess I'll protest. I'll take to the streets. The Donald Trump situation is different from George W. Bush or Obama or Clinton doing nasty things. Donald Trump is a career criminal in a way that these other presidents haven't been. And so I want to see real prosecutions occur under a future Democratic administration. And the question is, do they dig into that rabbit hole of the Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, William Barr connection and figure out how Epstein allegedly committed suicide in a supermax prison with no cameras on him.
Now, you know he did not commit suicide. He was murdered.
Well, I did, in fact, say allegedly and with no cameras on him in a prison, which is ridiculous. I mean, this is literally one of the most secure places in America. The prison where Jeffrey Epstein was being held in Manhattan is one of the most secure places in the country. And for a quote-unquote suicide to occur there, there's definitely something untoward that occurred. We don't know the details, again, but that's kind of where I would like to see a real investigation and a prosecution. I'm concerned that there's so much chickenry, there's so many bad acts with Russia and Turkey and Saudi Arabia and, emoluments and whatever, the problem with the Sharpie Gate, where he committed a felony by lying about the path of a hurricane. There's so many crimes to investigate that I'm worried that a future prosecution will omit the crimes committed by Epstein because his powerful backers are on both sides of the aisle.
Are you there, buddy?
Yes.
Okay. So, are you there almost? I'm so sorry.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay. So I can hear you now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you bring up a good point, and the thing is that I'm wondering if my internet's getting ready to go down because the hub keeps kicking my microphone off. So I'm resorting to old school once again, which is fine with me. The thing is that everything Donald Trump touches turns to coal, and it just dissolves, and it can touch anybody all the way up from a 5-star general to anybody. I mean, and it's just crazy. Let's get back to the story real quick about the troops being killed in Afghanistan and his worthless ass excuse of I was not briefed on that back in February. So let's lay this out for our listeners so that people understand.
Yes, sir.
It is not that Donald Trump was not just briefed on this. Donald Trump was not the only one that was briefed back in fucking February. We're in July. Our troops were killed for ransom for bounty. And the sitting president, that is the law and order president, throw up in my mouth joke, I mean, I'm beside myself. And that his followers don't see it when he says it's a hoax. Good grief, is there an idiot and a moron born every day in this country?
Well, I have a few responses to that. First, I would say I agree with you that per news reporting, the first time that the intelligence reporting specifically appeared in a presidential daily briefing was in February. However, according to John Bolton, who I disagree with strongly, but I think is telling the truth on this instance, according to John Bolton, he told Trump about this intelligence in 2019. And so he received like a specific briefing from his high-level cabinet advisor prior to receiving anything in a presidential daily briefing. I also
hold on a second.
that,
so you're admitting that with me. So in your opinion, aren't those people complacent because they got the same information that was passed on to Trump and they did nothing? They spoke to nothing. What does it say about the people?
Presumably Bolton did, in fact, and like I said, I kind of hate John Bolton, but I think he's telling the truth here.
This book is amazing.
Presumably, Bolton was trying to get Trump to do something about it. But Trump didn't want to because for reasons that we've kind of already gone over, he appears to be completely beholden to Russia. And
when you've got
one
the
of the
Speaker
things
of the House, Nancy Pelosi, on national television now saying all roads. Well, in fact, she did it in a meeting where Donald Trump likes to. And actually, she did it in the Oval Office. She stood up and she said, "All roads to you, Mr. Trump, lead to Putin." And that was a stern statement, and then she reevaluated that this weekend and said, that's what I meant by that. There's something about this picture that doesn't work. Trump they either have something on Trump, either
financially or personally, but the president is compromised. Why are they not doing the 25th Amendment? And with that, Amos, I want you to hold that, and I want you to think about why are they not doing the 25th Amendment. Let's tackle that next week. Go ahead and give your closing arguments, my friend. We do that about a minute. I'd appreciate it.
Very good. Yes, sir. So briefly, in my opinion, it appears that Donald Trump is likely to lose the presidential election, but only if all of your listeners register to vote and then vote. I recommend that you vote straight Democratic ticket all the way down the line. I'm doing it myself. I don't typically recommend that, but the GOP has showed itself to be grossly untrustworthy, and that's my recommendation. Finally, I think that Donald Trump is, in fact, compromised by Russia, and the Mueller investigation was ended early and not properly gone through, and that's part of what's going on with the Southern District of New York and Prosecutor Berman. And I'm glad to see that it appears that our institutions are going to hold and America is going to be fine, but we need to vote these people out. It's all about this vote. The election is grossly more important than any election that's ever existed in my lifetime.
That's right. November 3rd, everybody. It doesn't matter who you're for. You need to vote. Amos, thank you so much. And next week we are going to talk about that New York
the 25th Amendment
of that powerful attorney. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, my friend. Have a great night. All right, guys. That was Amos Warrants with our politics. I think it's our lead in politics. I have to get Will because he named that, and I just forgot the name of it. But you're listening to All You Need to Know Radio, heard every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, exclusively on Blog Talk Radio. Our hats go out to Blog Talk Radio. Tonight's show is brought to you by PB Entertainment Group. If you're an artist and you're looking for a label, go on to social media. They're on a single outlet. All right, so once again, this is John Hollywood with your host and your co-host, Will Cobb, and your show producer, Maureen Vanderpool. Don't touch that dial. If you do, you'll be sorry. We'll be right back.
I'm not sure I could. They say time heals everything, but I'm still waiting.
You're not just making a website. You're making an impact with your blog, small business, or side hustle. It all starts when you first log into your Bluehost account. We'll help guide you through the basic decisions for setting up your new WordPress site. It's the get-to-know-you phase of our new relationship. Then check out our all-in-one dashboard, which makes it easy to manage all the major functions of your website. Think of it as your site's stylish new headquarters. From here, you can choose from hundreds of custom themes for the design you want. Discover and install essential plugins for the features you need. And you've got yourself a website that can sell, share, and do almost anything. Then take your website even further with smart marketing tools that boost your site in search results and help draw in the largest crowds. Whether you're new to WordPress or a seasoned pro, our experts are just a chat, email, or phone call away to help you turn a good site into an amazing site. So come on, ready to make your impact? Start building today with Bluehost, the perfect place to WordPress.
To a birch arrangement is I didn't know flowers could look like this. I'm Brittany Ash. I'm a floral artist and the founder and director of Birch. I use Squarespace as a tool to express what my business is to those who don't get to experience it in person. Squarespace, in a lot of ways, made me an actual business. I think it's the first thing that people look at. Without that platform, it doesn't really seem that legitimate.
I don't need your sympathy. There's nothing you can say or do for me, and I don't want a miracle. You'll never change for no one, and I hear your reasons why. Where did you sleep last night, and was she worth it?
All right, everybody. Welcome back to All You Need to Know Radio, America's #1 show worldwide. Thank you so much, guys. We want to make a big announcement. We today, from our Instagram account, at last week's show, not last week, the week before, we were at 243,000 people. We are at 257,000 people that follow us on Instagram alone, worldwide. I mean, we have people following us from Israel, from Switzerland. It's amazing. I want you to know that Will, Maureen, and myself do not take this. We take this so humbly, and we are so honored and appreciative of the fact that you come to us for the real news. You don't come to us for fake news. And now back to the show. Will, what do you say about that? Can you believe that we're getting so much for support?
I think that is so exciting that so many people are listening and hearing what we have to say. And by the way, thanks for that music, John. Thanks for sharing.
Well, when I think of Cher, I think of you. Especially when you're riding the tank, when it's what is that song she's singing? Oh gosh, I know that song so well. What is it? You know where she's on the Marine ship and she's riding the cannon.
Turn Back Time.
Yes, and the video was banned from MTV until 9:00 at night because it showed her ass. What a beautiful ass that was, too, by the way.
We're showing our age, John Hollywood. We're showing our age.
So hey, let's talk about this real quick, Will. What did you think about what Amos and I were talking about as far as, can you believe, did you ever believe in your lifetime that a sitting president of the United States would turn the cheek and just ignore the fact when our American troops are being slaughtered for cash?
Well, you know, you and Amos didn't talk about that I thought was really important in this conversation was the fact that even if Trump, now, you know, his story changes every time he gets caught. And as he gets caught further, the story changes more and more and more and more. But his initial response was what was really scary, and what Joe Biden really pointed out was, you know, okay, maybe he didn't hear it, but he's the president of the United States, and he first said he never even heard it. So if you go back and look at what the NSA and the CIA and all of the people who are involved in giving him intelligence, they're saying you can't bring up Russia with him without him closing down and screaming and saying it's a hoax. And that's just really terrifying. I mean, even if he didn't know, that's actually worse than him. Well, no, not worse. I'm going to take that back. Either way, even if he didn't know, that's terrifying for such a dumbass president. But
let's analyze what you just said.
Frankly,
because the president is a crybaby and he is not mature enough to take criticism, and he is so egotistical that he looks at when something's going wrong that's just being brought to his attention that actually just needs to be handled. He takes it personally and says, how is it going to make me look bad? That's how he makes decisions sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It's not what is good for the United States of America or America's people. It is how it is going to make Donald Trump look good. And, you know, it's hard to make Donald Trump look good because he's such an ugly man inside and out. His heart is pure evil. He's a heartless man. And it gives me no pleasure, as I say all the time, to sit here and say these kind of things about the sitting president, number 45. But this guy, he's off the charts. I mean, I cannot think of enough things to say. I mean, every time I say he's worse than a 3-year-old, that's insults to a 3-year-old. I mean, can you just, seriously. And then the people that lie for him are complacent in every single thing that he does. And what I think is going to be interesting is, where are they going to go work when Donald Trump is gone? Who's going to hire a liar that gets up there and lies? Maybe they'll go to Dancing with the Stars.
Probably. But, you know, what you said is really important, and that is there is a shift. So what you've said there is that Donald Trump only looks out for himself, and that's absolutely true. And for the last 3 years, when Trump tweets about a congressman or a senator, he actually does real damage politically. Sometimes they get unelected because they don't support him. That being said, because he is now in such a deep hole, he's, you know, his only response to what's going on in the world right now is to stoke the culture war. So he's defending, Confederate named Air Force bases and Army bases, and he's defending statues of racists and things like that. And that's the only thing he's been doing. He's totally MIA on coronavirus. Let's not wear a mask. Let's have every kind of rally we can have. Let's go to Mount Rushmore and blow up fireworks on a dry area and maybe burn the whole thing down. But I just read an article in 2 different newspapers talking about that that the Republicans are finally saying that if by Labor Day he doesn't have his polls back up, they're going to defect and they're going to actually turn against him. And some sitting Republican senators are going to say, we were wrong, we're going to vote for Biden.
You're right. And there's actually a lot of speculation, especially on Morning Joe, MSNBC, that look at the type of person Donald Trump actually is, which is a insecure, racist, homophobic bigot, cheating on his wife, trying to kiss his daughter, trying to, on Howard Stern, he blatantly said, I want to fuck my daughter. If she wasn't my daughter, I wouldn't do it. Or otherwise I would do it. And can you imagine being her? I would have left the studio, first of all, and said, if you ever say anything to me like that again, Dad, I will not be your daughter. But, of course, all she did was smile. She was sitting right there. But the thing is that the Republicans are going to turn on Donald Trump. It's just a matter of when. And the thing is that there are, like you said, they're already doing it in their own way. And Donald Trump is, if he's one thing, he's not stupid. He knows how to play to his base. And it's like Mitch McConnell, his lapdog in the Senate yesterday said, it's simple, wear a mask. It's not hard. It's simple, wear a mask. Why do you think Donald Trump does not wear a mask, Will?
Because, if you look at, so the mask thing has become one of the most polarized issues politically in history, really. I mean, watching people literally say that, this is a human rights. Here's the thing that amazes me. Okay, so now they're saying it's my body, my choice. I get to wear a mask if I don't want to. Now, if it's a woman's body and she's pregnant, it's not their choice. But a mask is their choice. So it's total hypocrisy. But the point being about all of this is that Donald Trump literally doesn't want to wear a mask because his base doesn't want him to. But the problem is that base is about 36% of the country. That 4 or 5%, 6% that voted for Donald Trump, who were independents or were really anti-Hillary or things like that, voted for him. He's losing them in droves. They've had enough because here's the thing. This is the biggest failure in presidential leadership in United States history.
And, we keep saying that over and over, but I'm going to respectfully disagree with you that, and I'm going to tell you why. Donald Trump's supporters never even weighed in on masks until Donald Trump made the statement one time. And, sadly, before Donald Trump, what came out of the president's mouth meant something. It was truth. It was trying to make a change. It was for the betterment of everybody, and we were the strength. People are laughing at us right now. So when Donald Trump, I don't remember his supporters ever saying anything until Donald Trump said, when you wear a mask, you make me look bad. Like he was talking about testing. The more tests we do, the more people we're going to find that we're going to get positive cases. And it's just crazy.
Well, that's absolutely true. Let's no longer actually do any DUI tests on the road because then we won't have any drunk drivers. Let's not investigate murders because we won't have murders. But I am going to respectfully also disagree with you about one point. All presidents lie, and they do it for political expediency or they do it to protect their office. Or
let me put you on. Let me pause you for a moment. That music means that we need to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to come right back to you. You're going to talk about that. Hey, guys, we're also going to talk about the U.S. Supreme Court. Remember the one Donald Trump brags about all the time? And he put 2 brand new Supreme Court justices on there. Well, they dealt Donald Trump 3 different blows in the last couple of weeks, and we're going to talk about that with our amazing co-host, Will. You're listening to All You Need to Know Radio once again, heard on Blog Talk Radio exclusively. Make sure that you go to PB Entertainment Group on all social media. That's the sponsor of our show. Everybody take a deep breath. I know this is a lot, but it is what is going on in our country, and we have got to rise above it and don't fall for the spin. I'm John Hollywood, your host, and we'll be right back.
Oh, make me over. I'm all I wanna be. A walking study in demonology.
Take off with the. You're like most people. You've been forced to stay in the past by your energy provider. Trapped in a fixed rate contract you really don't understand. Paying a bill that can be more of a shock than getting struck by lightning. Think about it. You don't even know what type of energy you're using, or when rates inflate, or when they plunge, or the fact your energy provider's variable price only varies based on how much pain they think you can take before switching. All of the control is with them, leaving you in the dark. You see, the actual cost of energy goes up and down and changes every 15 minutes. And yet, your energy provider charges you the same fixed rate all the time. Now, if they set it somewhere around here, it might be an okay deal. But they set it up here, and if the price of energy drops, they pay less while you continue to pay the same fixed rate up here. Oh, and let's not forget all those little add-on fees with names you can't understand. So what you pay is oftentimes a lot more than what they pay. But we decided to change that. All of it. It's time to go gritty. Gritty connections directly to the actual price of energy, bypassing the middleman. You are charged only what it costs to produce and transport your energy. There's no confusing price plans, no markup, and no fixed contract. All you pay for is your membership fee, which costs just pennies a day. And instead of wasting time figuring out how to charge you more, we provide things that really matter, like the now price of energy, so you know what you're paying any time of day, the amount you've paid so far, and what we estimate you will pay for the month. On top of that, we send you these really nifty things called gritty alerts that tell you when the price of energy is really high or really low, so you can decide when to run your dishwasher or charge your electric spaceship. But even if you do none of that, you still save boatloads of money just by being gritty. Which takes us to another reason to choose gritty. We love renewable energy, and we give you a tool to change the earth. When prices are high, it means dirty and inefficient power stations are toiling away trying to keep up with demand. But when prices are low, it's because renewable energy is working away at a very low cost, powered only by that bright sun and mighty wind. So remember, when it's cheapest, it's greenest. When you use gritty alerts, you'll not only save money, but also the planet. It's time to go gritty. So let's count down the ways you benefit. Access to no markup wholesale energy. No sign-up or early termination fees. No more bill shocks. Know what you spend when you spend it. Price alerts that let you know when energy is cheap and green. All as a gritty member for just pennies a day. And everyone who signs up gets a free puppy. All right, that's not true. But since gritty is the fairest deal in energy, unplug your charged electric spaceship, hop into the pilot seat, and join us in the future. Houston, you are cleared for takeoff. Gritty, it's on.
Less than 2 years ago, mortgage rates were between 5.5% and 6%. Do you know right now mortgage rates are nearly half of that? you can call TexasLending.com and may be able to drop your mortgage rate in half. Call 972-387-4600 or go online and apply with TexasLending.com. If you save just 1% on a $240,000 mortgage loan, you may save up to $200 every month in interest. Apply that savings towards your mortgage, pay it off faster. Call TexasLending.com today, 972-387-4600. We won the Consumer's Choice Award for the last 13 years. Call right now, talk with a live person for a free quote, 972-387-4600, TexasLending.com.
When you think mortgage, think TexasLending.com.
4100 Alpha Road, Suite 300, Dallas, Texas, 75244. And MLS number 137773. Equal housing lender.
Clock strikes upon the hour and the sun begins to fade. Still enough time to figure out how to chase the blues away. I've done alright up till now. It's the light of day that shows me how. But when the night falls, my lonely heart calls.
All right, everybody, welcome back to All You Need to Know Radio. I am your host, John Hollywood, with Will Cobb, and we are talking about President Trump, who else, and the disgraceful actions that he has taken, and let's get right back to Will.
So, first of all, I'm liking your music tonight, John. It's really good.
I really put a lot of thought into it, so when you bring that up, it brightens my heart. Because I really I can see you because I can't see you in our studio yet, which we're going to make that happen soon. However, just dancing around like you do, you're a good dancer. You do it.
I was dancing around to that. So what I was saying before the break was, here's the point. All presidents lie. They have to sometimes for American security. They have to sometimes for their own political expediency. But here's a fact. Donald Trump has lied 18,000 times on record from 4 different newspapers and trackers. So the point is, anyone who is still believing what this man says, and you can literally follow anything he does. So the first thing is revealed, and he lies. Then they reveal a little bit more, and the lie changes. Then they reveal a little bit more, and the lie changes even again. So here's the point. The man isn't honest. So whether or not he read the brief about or heard the brief, because he doesn't read, here's the amazing thing. We actually had his press secretary on the news having to attest to the fact that the president actually reads. Who on earth ever thought we would need to hear that the president can read?
How about never? Because that's what. But however, the American people that voted Donald Trump in, you have to give him one thing. He told you what he was going to do, and I have some incredible inside advice for everybody out there around the world and in America. Believe someone who tells you who they are the first time, because they never change. And Hillary Clinton made a passionate speech about Russia and how, everything was going to happen. What's so scary is everything's coming to fruition. And Donald Trump's press secretary is nothing but a ditzy dumb blonde, and she says, I'm a Christian woman. No, she's not. She's a lying bitch. And she gets up there and she lies senselessly every single day. I will give her the fact that she actually stands up there and she's got a smile on her face while she's lying to the American people, and now she's lying to the American people about the deaths of our troops. And one can only hope that maybe one of her family members is in Afghanistan right now. And maybe that's what's going to have to happen, in my opinion, for things to change. It's going to have to affect somebody personally high up. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think is going to have to happen for things to change.
I think we're seeing that a little. I think we're seeing that a little with Mattis, General Mattis, and people who are just so horrified by what he's saying, and they're finally backing away. And, you're seeing a lot of people don't see the news because they don't read the news. They watch Fox News, who doesn't report this kind of thing. But you're seeing so many administration officials resigning right now.
Well, I want to call two radio hosts out here in Dallas, Texas that are on WFAA, or actually they're owned by Cumulus Radio. Hi, Dan Bennett, President, you worthless piece of shit. Chris Crock on WBAP.
That and it's not, wait.
It's not WFFA. Excuse me. I love everybody at WFA. Hi, shout out Todd Keel. Oh, I love WFAA. They're amazing. But you're right. It's Cumulus Radio, and they own 570 KLIF, which I was also on at one point, and then WBAP, which is 820 AM. But Chris Crock is on from 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock, and when you listen to his show, it's like listening to a 5-year-old child whine, because I have listened to a lot of talk radio my whole life. I don't understand how you change into a 5-year-old little girl while you're telling a story, or you're talking about what's going on in the country that is so incredibly important that you have to devalue it by making it into an improv. And so I want to call out Chris Crock on WBAP 820. You are a hypocrite, my friend, and shame on you. And he and I actually went back and forth on Twitter. I know him because I used to be on WBAP. The other one is Rick Roberts that is on at 2 p.m. right after Rush Limbaugh whines for 3 hours. I mean, Rush Limbaugh has cancer right now, but nothing's changed. I mean, it just blows my mind how these guys can get on radio and just lie to people, make up stuff, and they never focus on the things when Trump is bad. They only try to focus and try to spin it. And whoever came up with that term, I want to smack them in the face with an open fist. I mean, it's a lie. You're not spinning anything. You're spinning the truth, which is just a lie, or at least that's what I was told, and that's off my soapbox. But Rick Roberts on WBAP, shame on you for talking about Black Lives Matter the other day. You are just lighting a fire under the racism that is going on in our town in Dallas, Texas. Please listen to him and listen to how biased he is. And him and Chris Crock need to both be off the radio, because this is a privilege to do what we do, Will, and you know that. So to use it and spin it and use it as a hate tool is despicable, and you should be fired. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
You go, but I think the thing. I think that we're at a stage where I think the people who are screaming all lives matter and everything else are really starting to lose that point in the cultural war. And it's going to be a slow process. I mean, African Americans have because African Americans, Latinos, all sorts of minorities are climbing a different ladder than white people are climbing here. And we all know it, but it's now becoming something that Anglo and white people are starting to recognize, that the ladder is different. And so if that's still your base point, if you can't say Black Lives Matter or Latino lives matter or gay lives matter, if it's that offensive to you, then I think you're a little backwards, especially as young people come up and they are no longer as racist as they were in the past, or as their family was in the past. I have racist members of my family, fortunately fairly distant, but as we evolve as a culture and we begin to think about these kind of things, I think that culture war, and I think that's what Donald Trump is making a big mistake. He's hanging on so hard, cultural war, and he's actually turning off people. And I agree with you. We should call out people who are doing that. But at the same time, I also kind of understand where they're coming from. From the very beginning, these radio show hosts, Fox News, politicians, even Trump supporters went all in. They were like, okay, we're all in, no matter what. We're all in. And so now as they see Russia and the absolute failure on coronavirus and, the actual racial baiting that Trump is doing, if they admit, if they say, we were wrong, then for 3.5 years they've been horrible people, and that's going to be hard for them to say.
And I do agree. I mean, I agree with that. And I'm so sorry that I went on that rant, but I had a note written down for myself that I wanted to call these two people out because I used to have a lot of respect for them, and just because you can't admit when your guy is losing and, you know, give both sides. But what's really scary, when we come back, Will, because that means we need to take a break and pay some bills, I want to know what your opinion is of this. A woman called into Rick Roberts' show and said, you know what we need to do, Rick? We need to get back to our Christian days, and we need to be living by the Bible. You know, these Democrats just want to kick us all out of church and take our guns. And I'm like, bitch, what are you listening to? Don't say anything, so we need to take a break. All right, guys, this is John Hollywood with All You Need to Know Radio with your co-host, Will Cobb. And this is the great Whitney Houston on one of her last hits, $1 Million Bill. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
It's been a long, long time since I felt that love has found my way. Oh, I've been looking, I've been searching for the man to touch this place. Oh, I can't deny the way that he's making me feel this way about his love.
Coronavirus is still very real, and no matter what the lying president of the United States says by calling it a hoax, nor his worthless administration, please understand this is killing hundreds of thousands of people. And I really would not like to hear that you're one of them, but I will tell you that sadly the younger generation is not taking the he's from the America's doctor, Dr. Fauci, who is stating now that almost 100,000 cases a day could be reported pretty soon. It is so incredibly crazy. I can't even tell you. My heart goes out to everyone. Please make sure that you are washing your hands, that you are doing social distance, that you are doing physical distance. You are not going to gyms. You are not going to bars or clubs or anywhere that is, you know, at more than 10 people. Guys, this is serious. And you know me, I would not be doing this personally if I did not know it was the truth. Everybody here at All You Need to Know Radio, our co-host Will Cobb and Maureen Vanderpool, our show producer, and everybody behind the scenes, we are asking you to put you first. You can always, at a later time, go to a party. You can always, at a later time, go to a bar. The bottom line is that in the United States, we have 2.7 million cases of the coronavirus. And we have 130,000 Americans that have died. Right here in our hometown, there are 20,165 cases confirmed. And that's before we even go to air. So please, and one last really sad statistic, 352 people have died just recently. Once again, we invite you to go to Judge Clay Jenkins' Facebook page. He is the one that controls everything here in Dallas. Governor Greg Abbott is a moron, and he is a kiss-ass of Donald Trump. Don't believe a word he says. So, once again, guys, thank you so much for everything that you did and for listening to us. You literally could save your life, and you could save your parents and your friends. And remember, don't be a moron. If you go outside, wear a mask. The mask must cover your face. It must cover your mouth, your nose, and it go over your ears. Okay? I want you guys around. Don't you? Don't go anywhere. All You Need to Know Radio will be right back.
It doesn't matter if you love him or capital H-I-M. Put your paws up, because you were born this way, baby. My mama told me when I was young, we're all superstars. She rolled my hair, put my lipstick on, in a glass of purple dry. There's nothing wrong with loving who you.
One of the most incredible artists is Lady Gaga. She has a brand new album out. Rain on Me is the single that has been released with Ariana Grande, and it charted in the highest on Billboard in the middle of a pandemic in the United States. And we all thank you, Ariana and Lady Gaga, or Joanne, for this amazing song. The video is nonstop, dancing your ass off. And, you know, music changes the world. So no matter how bad things get in your life, listen to music. You know, I forgot that about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Read, listen to music. Those are the kind of things that can enhance your mind. Don't you think, Will?
I do, and I have one question for you, John Hollywood.
Yes, sir.
Were you born that way?
Baby, I was born this way. My mama told me when I was young, we are all born superstars, and God damn it, I am a superstar.
There you go.
But literally, I just, what did you think? You guys have not even heard the coronavirus ad that I just did. What did you think of that? Was it informative? Did you like it? Tell everybody what you thought about it. Be nice, because we're on the radio.
No, you did a good job. I think that everything you said is important, folks. I got my coronavirus test results today because I had an out-of-town guest who is a family member who stayed for 10 days, and it was really important that we protect her. She went back to New York, so she has to quarantine for 14 days. So my partner, myself, and she all got tests. My partner and I came back negative, and because she was around us, I presume she will also. But that's because we use hand sanitizer everywhere we go. We use masks. We try to really take care of ourselves, and not just ourselves. I recognize that if I get it, I could give it to somebody else. And if somebody else has a slightly less strong immune system, and mine's not the world's greatest, but if somebody has slightly less, I could kill them, and I don't think I could ever live with that. So listen to John Hollywood, folks. He's really concerned about the coronavirus, as am I, and we want you to take care of yourselves, and we want you to take care of your neighbors. And I'm sorry, a mask is not that inconvenient.
And you can look good in a mask. Draw a face of Donald Trump on it. That's what I'm going to do.
No,
we're going to draw a face of Donald Trump on it. We're going to sell him.
Masks are a fashion statement these days. I have friends who are coordinating their masks with everything they're wearing.
And there's nothing wrong with it. And then I was going to tell everybody what Donald Trump said in referencing the Long Ranger when Long Ranger wore a mask over his eyes, not his mouth and his nose. But that just shows what this IQ is. It's just incredibly ridiculous. Real quick, let's move to this, and then guys, don't go anywhere because we have our entertainment watch. And it's about the late, great George Michael. Then we have our song pick of the week that will close out the show. Real quick, Will, we have got to touch on the Supreme Court handing Donald Trump 3 different losses in the light of him putting 2 new Supreme Court justices on the court, and it didn't help him at all in the final end. What do you think about that? Let's start with the LGBTQ ruling. What did you think about that ruling?
Well, I thought that was amazing, and I really have a more overall statement than on each individual, and that is that now John Roberts is a conservative, and we've got to be careful with him because he is a conservative and he leans conservative, but at the same time, it really is, as Chief Justice, it's really his court. And he's an incrementalist, so he's trying to not switch what the Supreme Court has been doing radically. So I would expect later on down the road there may be some more conservative rulings, and he did today agree to listen to arguments that shouldn't release any of the Robert Mueller transcripts. You know, that's one big problem with Trump. He says he's so transparent, but he sues everybody from his niece not to release the book to John Bolton not to release the book. He sues everybody to try to stop them from releasing things. But Roberts is an incrementalist, and he's being very careful, and he's really focusing on the law. And there are a lot of things he's ruled on I don't like. I do like that in the LGBT case and the DACA case and all of the cases and the abortion case, he is ruling as an incrementalist and saying you're not presenting the correct law here. You have to present it in the correct way. He's basically saying that Donald
Trump's attorneys do not know how to present a correct argument in the correct way to the Supreme Court.
Absolutely.
And can you imagine? I mean, seriously, go ahead. I'm sorry, Betty. Go ahead.
Well, he's saying to me, what I'm reading out of it is he's saying that everything they're presenting to the Supreme Court is ultra political with no legal basis. And so he keeps sending it back saying, you got to do better than this.
And, you know, people say all the time you can sue anybody for any reason. However, most of those cases are dismissed if you do not have a basis for your case. And the abortion case was very, very important because they need to leave that bill alone. I'm going to make a prediction right now. The abortion law is law of the land, just like gay marriage is, and it will never go away. No matter how much the Republicans want it to go away, it's a woman's right to choose, said the Supreme Court, over 50 years ago? That is not going to change. It's just not going to.
Well, I think
but Justice Roberts voted against it the first time, but he voted for it this time. So he kept for the law.
Because it was technically not presented correctly. It was technically not presented. But here's the thing. I truly believe now, Trump has made an enormous impact by putting all these conservative
federal judges,
courts, especially appellate courts and lower courts. But at the same time, if dear Ruth Bader Ginsburg and a couple of the other older justices can just hang on until November, I think we'll stem that tide. At the same time, the people who want all of these draconian, horrible laws that, you know, torture individual people that are hateful are dying away. The Conservative Party is dying out. So I think over time we just have to kind of wait them out.
Well, and you have to remember the GOP is gone. There is the Republican Party died the day that Donald Trump was elected. It is no longer the Republican Party. It is Donald Trump's party. And so that's what I find interesting is how they're going to handle that because, you know, I don't make a statement especially to the world unless I am 100% sure. I'm telling you right now, there is not a chance in hell Donald Trump is going to win. The polls show it, and the polls are not skewed. And understand, if you go back and you look at the polls in 2016, I want to say this real quick, and we're going to move to our entertainment watch. Scratch that commercial break. And then but the thing is, if you go back, I was talking to my brother, and he's like, the numbers in 2016 weren't wrong. They were calculated in the wrong calorization, if that makes any sense. And right now I don't have the time to explain why, but we will. And plus, if you go to our Facebook, and guys, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr. We just went over 34,000 people following us on Snapchat. And Snapchat, I do it a completely different way, and I don't even know if you're aware of this, Will, but what I do is record videos, and at the end of the videos, make sure you join All You Need to Know Radio, but I give the artist a bunch of all the credit, basically. They're the ones performing the song. But George Michael, I Want Your Sex, which is our entertainment watch. The late, great George Michael just had a birthday a few days ago. One of the most incredible, probably the male Madonna of the music industry. The guy he was amazing. I happened to got the pleasure to have met him. Kenny, shout out to Kenny. He still lives here in Highland Park, I think. He made the most incredible. I'm getting emotional. He really held things together for George Michael, and George Michael would not have been around as long as he was without Kenny. And real quick, let's let you hear one of George Michael's biggest hits. This video is called Freedom. We'll be right back. Can everybody hear me? Hey guys, sorry about that. Like I said, I'm back to the old my phone because for some reason Blog Talk Radio needs to get this fixed so I can log on and use my microphone that makes me sound like the mega superstar that I am. Thanks to all you guys. Anyway, back to George Michael. What I was talking, and I don't think you heard any of what I'm saying, so I'm going to repeat it. Guys, we're going to go over, deal with it. I'm making that decision because this is very important we get out. But the thing is that George Michael, I believe, was like the male Madonna. He was trend-setting. People were dressing like him. Just amazing. I remember I went to one of his first concerts here in Dallas, and I was there with my best friend at the time, Eric Elan. And, God, that boy was hot. We used to work out every single night, and at that time I managed a gym called Fitness Unlimited. And did you ever see the movie Perfect with John Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis?
I did.
That was me doing aerobics. I taught like 24 classes of aerobics, and there was a waiting list to get into my class. Can you see me with a headphone going, get it on?
Work that.
I know you can. And then funny, the straight guys would try to come in and hit on the women in the class, and that's not what this was about. So I'm real good at figuring that kind of stuff out, and so when I would see it going on, I would go over and go, get those legs up, move. God, what are you doing? What camp do you think you're in? All these girls are beating, just really give them a hard time. So they knew this was not a pickup. This was not a pickup class. This was a class. This was a serious class for you to get your fitness goals in. But anyway, George Michael was just incredible. And what I was talking about our Snapchat is I got a phone call from my brother saying you did snaps of I Want Your Sexin' in the video, and it's very sexual. In fact, back in the day, they only played it after 9 p.m. also, like they did Madonna. And he's like, I'm not going to name my nephews, but he's like, they follow you, right? So they're seeing this. So me and my wife had to just explain all this stuff about what it meant. What did George Michael mean to you, Will, in his music?
Well, like you, I actually knew George fairly decently. I met him when he moved to Dallas for 2 years. A lot of people don't know that he lived here, and they were bringing him here. Kenny Goss, who you mentioned, brought him here, kind of get him out of the paparazzi, and they lived here for a couple of years, and I got to know him a little bit. Very nice man, but certainly not one of my best friends. But I will say this about him. I always believed, like you, he was, I've always said this, he was the absolute voice of that generation, the male voice. Madonna, probably the female voice of that generation, but he was the male voice. And to this day, like Whitney Houston, I think that no one compares. I just think he is one of the best voices in history.
Yeah, and the thing with Kenny, I want to make sure that I don't know if this went across the air, but I said that Kenny was an inspiration and someone who held George Michael together, because it's no secret, he had problems, and who doesn't have problems? But when they're being magnified by the media, and they're following you everywhere you go, but if still you know that, and you're driving and you fall asleep at the wheel and run into a tree, you're literally putting people's lives in danger. But I love the video that he released, "I'm Too Funky for You," and he shot it in a bathroom, and it was all about how he got arrested. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I saw it, but I think here's the thing. I watched a documentary that he did right before he died.
Right before he died, it was so awesome.
And I think for his case, I think, very much like a lot of stars become stars because they want that there's something missing in their life and they think that will fix it. And in George's case, it didn't fix it. And he very much hated the attention. He hated being followed. He hated, the media. And so I think, for as magnificently talented as he was, I think that being a star for him was just really, really difficult. And you're right, Kenny Goss was a really good guy for him. And, for those who are listening who don't know who Kenny Goss was, partner for a number of years and lives here in Dallas with us.
Oh, yeah, and the special you're talking about, I watched it also. I believe it was on HBO, and I think it was called Freedom, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to look it up real quick because I want people to go watch it. Because when I heard the video and the lyrics to Freedom, we just played, I only heard, for me, I was dancing to it, and I love George Michael, so the vibe was there. But the words, when he wrote songs, and a lot of artists don't connect like this, but when he wrote songs, they touched your heart, and they were really what was going on in his life, and he was trying to send messages out to people. And do you know who he was sending messages out in regards to this song, Freedom?
Mm-mm.
His label. If you listen to the songs, I Won't Let You Down, I Will Not Give You Up, you got to have some faith in my sound. It's the one good thing that I've got. And see, George Michael refused to appear in the video when it was released, and it infuriated his label. But what he did was just incredibly instinctive on his part, and just back in those days, you just didn't think about those things. He put Cindy Crawford, Noemi Campbell, which I can't even say that name right, but the most incredible, beautiful women and one really hot guy, but he never appeared. You don't see him in it, and that was one of his biggest hits, and the video is incredible. And in the video, the jacket that he wore in Faith, it goes up in flames. The music box blows up, and what he's saying to the label is, let me be me. Do you see what I'm saying? And the name of the documentary was Freedom, George Michael Freedom, and it was released in 2017, literally months after his sad death.
And folks, if you don't recognize how important this guy was to our generation, John Hollywood went over his time.
That's right. Well, I'm the boss. I can do what I want. I didn't think anybody would care. I mean, this is actually really, really something I think that the thing with George Michael also, and to his credit, he made huge donations to charity, but he made them anonymously, and so you didn't learn about the millions of dollars that he gave because it was anonymous, and they never said anything. And a lot of them, I don't even think he knew it was him, but he just wanted to give back, and I think that was his way of reaching out to people. What do you think?
He was a really good guy, and I agree, and while we're on the subject, so just to touch up, because a lot of people have mistaken that they thought he died of an overdose. George Michael did not die of an overdose. He died of heart failure, and said he was not on drugs when he died.
Yes, and let me just say how infuriating I find that bogus fucking story, because not about the way he died, but allegedly, I'm going to cover our asses here so our lawyers' butts are not clenching. But the thing is that when he died, it was on New Year's or Christmas Eve, I think. Let me. I don't remember specifically.
It was Christmas. It was Christmas
Yeah,
Day.
it was Christmas Day in 2016. Boy, I cannot say his middle name, so it's George. Can you say his entire name? Georgios Kairokas, and I can't say that last name. Can you say it?
I think it's Thakotopoulos.
It's something that I can't announce, but we'll put this article. I can't pronounce it. I don't want to butcher it because he's such a beautiful guy, or he was a beautiful soul and everything. But the thing is, and he changed music. I mean, I know we're spending a lot of time talking about it, but I don't care because this is a good thing we need to talk about. If you, like Will said, Will couldn't agree with you more. He has sold 28 million worldwide albums when he was in the breakthrough group Wham. Do you remember that? Where were you when you heard Wham's first song?
I was in high school at a church Methodist dance in the basement.
But I want to jump real quick back, and I know that people don't like when I do that, but I want to say that there's a conspiracy or a suspicion around the way he died because his boyfriend at the time, and there's been rumors that he had already broken up with her, but anyway, the guy was sleeping in his car on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or whatever day it was, the night he died. And he never went into their mansion. He slept in the car. I don't believe that for a minute. So allegedly, Will, what do you believe?
You know, I've never been able to figure that out. But I will say this. The autopsy revealed that he died of congestive heart failure. So I don't know that you could bring that on. There were no drugs in his system, so he wasn't poisoned. He wasn't suffocated. So I don't know about that. I mean, I always thought that guy was kind of tacky, but I mean, hey, he was a porn star, so George liked him.
Exactly. If you go and you watch the movie Rocket Man, I mean, that guy reminds me of the guy that was, that used Elton John for all the money that he did. And guys, if you haven't seen Rocket Man, go look at it. It's amazing. All right, so now let's move real quickly to our song pick of the week. Our song pick of the week is by an iconic entrepreneur. Sells out every arena she goes to, writes children's books. Everybody thinks she was a hard partier, but yet she was very disciplined. And I can only be talking about one person, so who is it, Will?
Is it Julie Andrews?
Oh, that's it. No, it's Mary Poppins. No, it's the one and only, the Madonna, and it is her albums have been out for so long. This is one of the songs that actually put her over the top like a virgin, and it's our song pick of the week. And it's not new because it's been out for a while, but it's amazing, and it's very dangerous. But here you go.
I made it through the wilderness.
Okay, so that was not Madonna. That was actually Misty from Landwood Rogues. So we need to... I heard that Landwood Rogues is no longer with PB Entertainment Group. They released them from their entertainment contract. So now let's do a Madonna song. Here we go. One of her biggest hits. Madonna's biggest hits, Everybody, and I love when she danced. Was it Into the Groove? No, it was Holiday that she danced on the Dick Clark show. And Dick Clark usually doesn't interview the artist before they perform. They do it afterwards. But he asked Madonna one question, Will, and this is going to test how big of a fan you are of Madonna. What was the question that Dick Clark asked Madonna at the beginning of her career?
All right, I got to admit, I have no idea, and I love Madonna.
That's okay, I'll tell you. He asked Madonna, after all of this success, what is next? And Madonna very just boldly
I can answer
said,
that.
No. Go ahead. I'll let you do it. Go ahead, but you got to say it like you mean it.
World conquest.
Yeah, she said, I want to rule the world. I would say she got that goal. What do you think?
I think so.
All right, guys. So with that music means that we're out of time, and actually we went 15 minutes over. And thank you so much for joining us for a little bit longer of All You Need to Know Radio. I really felt it was important to get everything out about George Michael. I hope he's looking down on us, and we'll go ahead and say some closing things, and we'll get out of here on everybody.
All right, so everybody, just listen to what Amos Warrant said. Listen to what we said. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you take care of yourself out there with the coronavirus. Make sure that you support your neighbors and your friends. Make sure that you understand what's going on in the world.
That's right. Just incredible words, Will, and thank you so much for that. And, guys, this is All You Need to Know Radio, and our show tonight was brought to you by PB Entertainment Group and our amazing show producer, Maureen Vanderbilt. And, guys, wear a mask. Do you know the science came back and said that if everybody wears a mask that covers their mouth and their nose and it goes over their ears so it's against their face, it's a little uncomfortable, but you could save 30,000 American lives. And with that, we're going to close the show. Don't miss next week's show. What will it be about? It'll be fun. That's all I know. I'm John Hollywood, your host, with Will, our co-host. Good night, live from Dallas, Texas. Keep reaching for the stars because that's where it all begins. Never let anyone tell you who to love, how to love, or how to make your dreams come true. Good night.